Welcome to this tutorial on Can by Offenbach. So it looks like this. This is from Adult Piano Adventures, Book 1. So hopefully at this point, we're a little bit comfortable, or a lot comfortable, with our C major scale, because we do have that in this piece if we're looking at measure 7. So getting really comfortable with how the thumb goes under if we're coming up the scale, and then going with the crossover 3 on the way down. And also we're incorporating this G7 that we saw in previous songs and the C chord. But in this song, we're also doing C in this fashion. Little down, up. So this is long, short. So keeping that bounciness of the staccato with the wrist, a little bit of wrist. And also, if we're looking at the end of the piece, so measure 15 and 16, that third beat with the second chord, it almost looks like a G7, but in this case, since the C remains the same on the bottom, and we have this chord, 5, 2, 1, this is what we call a C sus4. So just as a reminder, we have C major. The sus4 means we're taking out the third and we're replacing it with the fourth note of the scale, C, D, E, F, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we get the sus4. So again, whenever we're approaching chords that have the same common tone, so in this case from C to G7, we have that G that remains constant between the chords, so really making sure that we're re-hitting. Same thing goes for when we do C and C sus4. So actually there's 2 common tones, C and G, and then we just have to change the middle note. So that might take a little bit of practice, just really getting it super clean and clear. All right, so that's all the left hand, what that's about. And then meanwhile, with the right hand being in C position, there are quite a few of these numbers with circles around them. So that always means in this set of books, we have like some kind of position change. So in this case, that 5 on measure 3, now we're switching it to 4. So it's a quick, just up a step with the hand. Same thing goes when we're looking at measure 5, 1. This time though, we go down a step, 2, 1, 2. So try to see if you can do these switches without looking at your hand. Since it's so close, 1, 2. It's a very subtle change. And that's going to happen again at measure 11, and then 13 as well. So going from the beginning, I'm going to play the whole piece so you can hear what it sounds like, and then we can talk a little bit more about details regarding on practicing the piece. So here we go. you have it. All right, so in terms of putting this together, I like to go to harder parts of a piece just to get that out of the way. And so what I'm looking at right now is measure 5 to the end of the piece, or 15 to the end of the piece, excuse me. So here we have kind of a tricky thing where right hand has to be super smooth, but left hand's resetting for the chords. 1, 5, 2, 3, 1, 5, 2, 3. So for some people, this area can be kind of like a little finger twister. But notice that when you're doing the 2, 3, specifically on the 2, left hand is also doing 2. So what you could try is just doing full chord, 1, 2. So really feeling that 2 connection, and then eventually adding in the full chord with the C on the bottom. So that could be a way of practicing. Or you could even just do just the bottom note or top note, or just the bottom note, just to feel that separation, but keeping the beat of that passage. So going into it, measure 14, chord, 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 accent. So to get from that treble C, middle C to treble C, slide, or you can spread it a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. And always remember with like strong notes, keeping our finger pretty strong and curved. Really get that power into the finger. And even with the thumb as well. So playing with the tips of the thumb versus the whole thumb. All right, so another harder passage would be going from measure 7, like from that C octave really fast. So consider no staccato initially. And then the measure before getting into it. 1, 5. So maybe the measure before, somewhere in the blank space area, you could write octave coming up, just to kind of mentally and even like physically prepare for that. Stretch it a little bit, just to get really aim and lock in that treble C. All right, so what we're gonna have to try now, once you get the hang of the span of the octave, short connect the rest of the notes. And then we also have a crescendo to C, right? Okay, and then lastly, we just have this chord in the bass on the downbeat of measure 7. So initially just practice this, just to get used to the staccato on the downbeat. And then try adding the next note. See how that feels. And then just keep adding more notes. And hopefully that should help make that passage much easier. All right, and then also when you're doing the hands together, so the reason why I was saying to try this without looking, the 1 to switch to 2, is just so you can focus maybe a little bit more on the chords if you need to, and then especially, you know, looking down for the octave, Some people don't need to look, but you can definitely you're welcome to look, because the left hand's not doing anything for more than 1.5 bars. So now let's go ahead and talk about the duet together. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So of course, when you're learning the piece, definitely slow it way down. So it says moderately fast. I know we're probably used to doing or hearing that tempo, but just keep it slow. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, just to get all the little details with dynamics, with accents, with staccatos, changing of the fingers. So there's a lot in this piece, packed into this piece. And lastly, before I play the duet, also considering when you're on the second page to acknowledge rests, no left hand, no left hand, and then the left hand comes back in. So anytime you see a whole rest where the left hand's not playing anything, that needs to be completely silent for the bass, for the full 4 beats. So really hearing that break in the bass part. All right, let's try our duet, shall we? So our tempo, I'll count you off, and then we'll start together on the downbeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4.